Thank you. Well, it's very clear with the United States going into high gear in terms of a clean tech economy, it puts a lot of pressure on Canada, and we have to have at every level a real coherent strategy and also collaboration. So at the federal level, NRCan has to deal internationally, but then you have to deal with all the different provinces and their different various political focuses. I want to focus on that because this morning I was in the news. One of the top stories was about the launch of a Calgary clean tech program, and they said that the only thing people were talking about at Calgary at this clean tech launch was the uncertainty caused by Danielle Smith and her Sovereignty Act, and that it was actually threatening to scare business out of Alberta. The Deborah Yedlin, who's president of the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, said there is, quote, no shred of evidence that this act will lead to economic growth. We see this as introducing a very significant element of risk and uncertainty for business in Alberta. So I certainly don't want to have you comment on the political machinations of Premier Smith, but I would ask you, how important is it for the federal government working with the various provinces if we're going to be trying to supply clean tech and compete with the Americans, that we are doing this in a framework of a shared goal, shared values, and a shared vision?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I would say that that's very much the intention of the regional table approach that the minister described in his comments. And it's significantly because of the scale of the challenge that we are facing. In order for us to meet the challenges of the climate crisis, the challenges that are posed by some of our geopolitical realities, a concerted effort between the federal government and the provinces is really very important, and we have a real opportunity right now.
Okay. I want to stay on that then, because I guess my concern about the regional tables, when I heard from the ministry, said, well, these are provincial setups. Like in Calgary, when Labour was at the table, they were only talking to Labour. They were not talking to everyone else. We need to make sure that these tables include Indigenous and Labour in a big way, and not just have Danielle Smith decide who gets to sit at the table and who doesn't. That would not help anybody. I think we could all agree on that would probably be a really bad outcome. So how do we insist that there's some clear strings attached to make sure Labour, Indigenous, clean tech, and innovators are at the tables at the regional levels?
And I'd say we're out of time here, but we'll take a brief response.
Well, I think the minister said that these are federal and provincial tables, and so the intention of the tables, and they will vary from province to province, but the intention is to draw on the sort of breadth of the communities that are at issue, the jurisdictions that are at issue, and so that will absolutely include Labour, it will absolutely include Indigenous communities and private sector and other experts.